We're glad to see you.
And welcome to our kickoff event.
Project GreenPlate is
about a healthy life,
about a more sustainable society,
About a more prosperous community.
About awareness.
about water.
about small change.
that leads to big impacts.
So, what is Project GreenPlate? Well, we'll begin by introducing ourselves a little bit.
We are a group of high school students from Cambridge Ridge Latin in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We came together about a year and a half ago to meet a challenge posed to us by Education First: saving water. Immediately, thoughts came into our heads about showers, flushes, watering systems, pools, and many more active uses of water. However, we are lucky to stumble upon Ms. Zonensine, who spoke to us about
Meat. Yeah, you heard that right. Meat is the #1 consumer of water in the U.S. Over 50% of U.S. water every year is used up by the meat industry, specifically beef production. The vast majority of this water is contaminated and cannot be reused, meaning it is usually thrown away and pollutes the environment. Our idea then germinated, and we thought, how could we stop this problem? And then we realized that the first step was to
Raise awareness. We hadn't been aware of the problem before, and we doubted that many of our peers or community members did either. For this reason, Project GreenPlate is centered around education, shedding light on this immense wastage that comes from the meat industry. After being awarded the chance to work with the Community Development Department in Cambridge, our core values came about.
Our mission is to reduce the meat consumption of anybody and everybody. We believe that anyone can do it. Everybody can make an impact. That is because we believe in small changes. Small changes that have momentous impacts. Serving our school community, we realized that if 100 students decided to opt out of meat once a week for school lunch, we would have saved 660,000 gallons, or about an Olympic swimming pool's worth of water. For this reason, we began raising awareness and hosting opportunities for people to discover the wonderful meatless world.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here today with you presenting as part of Project GreenPlate. I want to congratulate you for all the amazing work that you've done, and I'm so honored to be here as well to tell you a bit about myself and my plant-based journey. My name is Manuela Zonensine, and I live in New York City, and I am vegetarian out in the wild, wild world and vegan at home. So I became a vegetarian after a year living in Beijing in 2007 when I was the dining editor of Time Out Beijing. And I got to eat all the foie gras and Wagyu steak and lobster that a human should be allowed. And while I was doing research about where all those products were coming from and the impact of those products, I realized that not only are they terribly unsustainable and inefficient at scale for the environment, but they also disproportionately hurt and affect lower income communities. And I could no longer eat those products knowing that I was affecting my fellow human. So a bit about me. I'm an entrepreneur now after living in China for 8 years, where I started 2 companies. I came home and I run a water company called Automated Water Machines that tries to reduce water waste as well as pollution. And that means that I simultaneously have to live between what is today and what could be. Food is intensely personal and cultural, historic, familial. So it's not something that any one person can dictate for another. I'm not here to say what an individual should or shouldn't do, but just to tell you about my personal reasons for my plant-based diet. Now, given that our country is so focused on technology and innovation, I do want to ask, why can't we also innovate our lifestyles and how we eat? I propose that we as Americans can do anything we set our minds to, and one of them would be to move away from animal-based products. So as an entrepreneur, I really care about efficiencies and about delivering better quality products and services at competitive prices. So what I love about being plant-based is that I know I'm doing the single best thing I can do as an individual to reduce the carbon footprint of my activities, as well as water waste, deforestation, and desertification. It's the single biggest bang for your buck if you care about the future of the planet. Also, as a white woman and understanding that often minority communities and lower income communities are downstream of my decisions, eating plant-based means that I'm also behaving in an environmentally just way to ensure that my fellow Americans can live happy, healthy, and productive lives. I also love knowing that I'm taking care of myself. Red meat is a core contributor to the key killers in the United States: diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. So I feel great throughout the day. I know that I'm taking care of my body and that I'm taking care of my planet and fellow humans. So when you're consuming meat, you're inadvertently consuming an unequal and unjust amount of water, as well as amount of food. So the amount of plants that beef has to consume in order to turn to fleshy calories, and the amount of water that is consumed, is food that could be used to feed another person and water that could be used for watering other crops and ensuring that we have enough drinking water. So just for some quick reference, chicken, a pound of chicken requires 500 gallons per pound in terms of water to drink and to clean the chicken house and for growing the grains that the chicken eats. And then for a quarter pound of beef, that's about 460 gallons of water. So we're talking about hugely inefficient processes to get calories that we can otherwise get from plant-based products. So some recommendations I might make if you're curious about trying plant-based. First of all, try to skip one meal a week. And if you can do that, why not a day a week? People do meat-free Mondays, for example. That's hugely impactful. It's like taking 60 million cars off the road in the United States in terms of greenhouse gas emissions if every American just reduced one day a week. The other thing, as you are trying to reduce your meat intake, is don't eat four-legged animals. And if you are going to eat meat, use it for flavoring and not as your main source of calories. The other thing is just to think about eating lower on the food chain and simplifying what you're eating, because then you know where your food is coming from and you understand the impacts of those ingredients. Some simple things that you may want to do to learn more. Mark Bittman has a great blog. He was a food writer for the New York Times. He has a book called VB6, which means vegan before 6. And then in the evenings, he likes to eat his animal products. There's a movie, Forks Over Knives, and very recently released documentary called Seaspiracy about how we are overfishing our oceans. And then, in terms of other activities beyond giving up animal products in your food, I would recommend that you try to fix your clothes, reuse them, and if you absolutely need to buy something, try to buy secondhand, because clothes really use a ton of water. So, my dream for the future is that we're not using all of these raw materials as inputs for other things, but that we can really be lower down on the food chain. And I just really want to talk about what's happening in China, because when I became a vegetarian, everybody said, well, that's crazy. What are you doing? You're a rich Westerner. You should be eating all the meat you want. And I've just found out that now China has 10 venture-funded companies that are doing plant-based products as meat alternatives. KFC and McDonald's are offering plant-based products, as well as other fast food restaurants. And so in a matter of 15 years since I lived there, we've seen China go from, being mostly plant-based and trying to emulate our Western meat-eating lifestyle to now pivoting back toward plant-based. So if a country as large and populous as China can do it, I definitely think that we here in the US can do it. So that's my rallying cry to encourage you to learn a bit more, give it a try, and feel better about yourself and the world in the process. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Hi everybody, it's a lovely rainy day and I'm going to be making bruschetta to it. Here are the ingredients you will need. The first is, you guessed it, a French baguette. You'll only need one of these. The next is 2 handfuls of cherry tomatoes. You'll also need 2 to 3 medium-sized tomatoes, 1 stick of butter, 1 container of pesto, balsamic vinegar and extra virgin olive oil, oregano and chili flakes, and last but not least, you got the magnificent salt and pepper. So first, I'm going to be cutting this bread in half the long way. Now I have these 2 long pieces of bread. So now I'm going to put these 2 pieces of bread into the top rack of the oven for 3 minutes. Quick disclaimer, I put it under the broiling setting. So it's been 3 minutes and the bread looks amazing, perfectly crisp. So for the cherry tomatoes, I'm going to take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and drizzle it inside this medium-sized pan on medium heat until it is hot enough, and then I will be adding the cherry tomatoes. The olive oil's in there, time to start with the cherry tomatoes. I'm going to be pouring in a couple of these cherry tomatoes. I'm going to step away. It hasn't made a lot of sound yet because the heat isn't high enough, but it'll get there soon. So they're starting to make some noise, so I'm going to add some salt. Ta-da! I'm giving them a bit of a stir. So these are put on lower heat, but they look amazing, and I'm going to add some balsamic vinegar and drizzle it over the tomatoes. You won't get to see me doing it, but I'm just going to add a couple caps worth of the balsamic vinegar. I did 2 caps worth of balsamic vinegar, and I'm going to sprinkle with oregano and a little bit of pepper. For the first half of bread, I'm going to drizzle in olive oil, add a little bit of the tomatoes, also add pesto. I happen to have some basil, so I'll top it with that. Maybe some more spices like the chili flakes, and then I think I'll add some grated cheese as well. So here's a little vlog style segment. I just finished adding pesto to the bread. It doesn't look very good alone with the bread, so I'll just show you the pesto container. And I didn't make this pesto myself, but I wanted to tell you that if you want to make this pesto yourself, you should try the New York Times recipe because it's only 3 ingredients and it's supposed to be amazing. I totally recommend that. And now I'm going to be adding these tomatoes. After adding pepper flakes, grated Parmesan cheese, and also basil leaves to my first half, I'm done with that, but I'm going to keep it a surprise in terms of its appearance until the very end, when I'll have you see which of the 2 halves of bread you like the most aesthetically. So now that the first half's done, I will be adding butter to the second half and placing it in the oven. And while I wait, I will be chopping up 2 of the medium-sized tomatoes into thin slices and then putting those in the oven for 10 minutes total. So now I'm going to place this buttered up bread in the oven for a minute while I cut up the tomatoes. Now that the bread is out of the oven, it's time to grill these tomatoes for 5 minutes on each side. Wow, would you look at that? The tomatoes are out of the oven. Here is the final bruschetta! Yay!
Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to the Project GreenPlate Trivia Game, the show that's been happening daily since today. So you are hearing a lot from the other hosts about the merits of going vegan, eating less meat. And now it's time to test your knowledge on water conservation. So, as with all good trivias, there's 4 answers to each question. So only one of them is going to be correct. So be careful, and let's get straight into it. So the first question, Approximately what percentage of the planet's water is usable for human consumption? Here are the answers. 100%, 26%, 3%, and 0.5%. And the answer is 0.5%. I know that most of you are confused. Why 0.5%? While 3% of the world's water is fresh water, most of that is locked up in glaciers, ice caps, or other inaccessible bodies. Therefore, all that is left for us is a measly 0.5%. Okay, so here's question 2. Which of the following is a way that water regulates the Earth's temperature? Here are the answers. 1. Ice keeps the world cool. Oceans currents transport warm and cold temperatures across the planet. Rain cools the ground, and groundwater acts as a shield against lava. I'll wait. And yep, it is the ocean currents one. So ocean currents move in different directions throughout the ocean. Currents moving away from the equator carry warmth to colder regions, and currents moving towards the equator bring cooler temperatures to equatorial climates. And of course groundwater doesn't stop lava. Doesn't that create obsidian? I remember hearing something about that from Minecraft. But anyways, I'm going to hand it off to Amina. See you in a few minutes.
Moving on now to speak about an important local and global issue. In 2019, an estimate of 2 billion people on a global scale experienced food insecurity. And just in Cambridge, over 10,000 people use the emergency food system, and with the pandemic, there has been a significant growth since last April with a 59% increase in food insecurity. So what is food insecurity, you ask? Food insecurity is limited access at times to provide enough food for all household members because of financial restraints or limited access to other necessary resources. So what exactly can we do from our part to help solve this issue and support the people suffering from food insecurity? Well, we can first start within our own community. You can show the people in your community support who are facing food insecurity by learning and advocating. A great way to advocate for food insecurity is by writing to your local representative to encourage policies that can keep more people out of financial constraints that cause hunger. Another great way is by volunteering and donating to local community fridges. On the screen right now are 2 local places you can support: Cambridge Community Fridge at 50 Church Street, Harvard Square, and Cambridge City Growers located at 5 Calendar Street. For more information on this crucial topic, visit Break Time's website and social media platforms.
Hello!
I'm Luna.
And I'm Nicholas, and today we're going to be preparing for you a lentil burger. Something to please both your taste buds and your water footprint.
Now, this all looks beautiful, Nicholas. How much water are we actually going to be saving?
Well, compared to the standard burger, this lentil burger is 610 gallons less with regards to water. So, quite a bit. So, let's begin with the ingredients. Luna, what do we have today?
Ingredients we will be using to cook today. Okay, so we're going to start with 1 cup of lentils. Then 2 1/4 cup of broth or water. Anything that you have works. 2 teaspoons of olive oil from our grandparents in Greece. A quick shout out to them. 1 large red onion right here, which half of it will be finely sliced. The other half will be thinly sliced. We want the juice of half a lemon. Also some salt and pepper, like any meal. Obviously salt and pepper. 8 ounces of baby spinach right here with this beautiful green color. We want 2 large cloves of garlic right here. 2 of those, we would want them minced. Then half a teaspoon of cumin. We would want, as a filler, 2 options. You can pick whichever one works best for you. One of the options is 1 cup of bread crumbs. Another one would be half a cup of quinoa. Both very, very healthy options. So go ahead and you can pick whichever one sounds more delicious to you.
Or mix and match.
Or mix and match. Following right along, 1/2 cup of walnuts. Now this is optional. Personally, we're fans of nuts and walnuts, but if you have an allergy, please do not put walnuts or any nuts in your recipe, in your lentil burger.
Yes.
Now these are toasted and finely chopped. Finally, some delicious burger buns. I mean, we obviously need them. And 3 tablespoons of arrowroot. And with that, in 1 cup of water.
Alright, so beginning with the lentils, which are going to be the base of the burger, place 1 cup of lentils and 2 1/4 cups of broth in a saucepan to boil over high heat. After you see some bubbles forming and some gas evaporating, this lets you know that it's boiling, so you can reduce the heat to medium rather than high. You can let it sit like this for 30 minutes or until about most of the broth has evaporated, and then you can take it out and we'll move on to the mashing. So 30 minutes later, once you have removed the lentils, pour them into some type of bowl, and just like Luna's demonstrating right now, you want to mash them with a fork so that it looks like a puree, nice and dry, just like this.
Then we're gonna heat the olive oil in a large non-stick skillet at about medium heat.
2 teaspoons. So after that, we want to finely chop half of our red onion. So give it 1 good cut down the middle and choose your preferred half. Hold your hand like this and cut very short and small pieces going vertically down. We're going to collect those pieces later and do the same thing in the other direction so that we get very fine little cubes. So after the onion, you want to grab your 2 garlic cloves, which are 2 of these small bits that you'll find inside the garlic. And we're going to mince one and finely chop the other. Make sure you stir nice and well so that the chopped onion is evenly distributed. Now, you want to put half the juice of a lemon, as Luna is demonstrating right now. Then add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, followed by your baby spinach. Absorb moisture and decrease in size. Again, you want to make sure to stir well so that heat is distributed evenly among all leaves.
Get all the leaves in. Whew. This is a little hard, but okay, we got that.
And then finally, add your 2 minced cloves of garlic. And add some cumin, specifically 1.5 teaspoons. As well as some black pepper. The same quantity, 1.5 teaspoons. All that's left to do now is to stir until the spinach is dry and absorbed. So this would take about 3 minutes. So while Luna is stirring the baby spinach, we can move over here and take a look at our fillers. What really gives the burger and the patty its protein and its meaty taste. Since we're going to be making 2 different types of burgers today, we're going to be splitting half of our lentil puree into a burger that's going to be quinoa based and the other with breadcrumbs based. Now, in the case that you prefer one over the other, you don't need to split it, but we'll just simply demonstrate here. So we're going to add half of the spinach mixture that we have with Luna. Later on, we're going to add it here. And so until then, we're first going to grab half of our lentils and pour them into this one bowl. This is going to be the quinoa bowl, as you see here. Let's put some into the breadcrumbs bowl. You can find breadcrumbs commercially, or you can try to make them out of your own bread. Just make sure that they're very, very thin, almost like a powder or dust. After letting it sit for a while, it might be a little hard to scrape off some of the lentils. That's why you can bring a fork. This can be of great use. Luna, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing?
Finishing up this mixture.
It smells so good. I cannot wait to eat it.
Yes, especially with a red onion. You're going to get a very nice red color that really matches that burger red. And it's really going to look almost like a real hamburger. Now, in preparation of my 2 fillers, I will put the entire cup, 1 cup of breadcrumbs into one bowl, and 1 cup of quinoa into the other. To that, I will add half a cup to each of my roasted and finely chopped walnuts. And the other half to the quinoa. Finally, I will add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in each. And I will call in Luna so that she can bring in our baby spinach. So now Luna will split the baby spinach half and half.
Like so. Here is half in one bowl, the other half in the other bowl.
And now we'll bring in the binder. This is what will hold everything together. Here we have a cup of arrowroot that we'll split in half with half a cup of water in each. You can put half of the arrowroot in one,
Awesome.
half of the arrowroot in the other. And then measure half a cup. So I'll fill in a whole cup and do half and half.
Okay.
Alright.
That's about half, so. Awesome.
There we go. Now we'll mix and we'll have our little solution ready so that we can make it into balls and later patties.
So now just
Mix nice and well.
We get in there. You want to get a homogeneous mixture. Almost as if nothing is different. All uniform. This might make it a little messy. It's okay. Just remember to clean out that cookie is messy. What can you do?
now that we have it all mixed up, we're gonna wait for about an hour and then come back.
While we're waiting for our patties to sit, we're making some optional additions that we really like. Here we have some caramelized onions and
Here we have some sauteed mushrooms.
now you have your spheroid. You can put it down and
Put it
just gently press. You want to keep it still thick with not a very long diameter, because when you cook the diameter will increase. So you want to keep it still quite tall on the side, a lot of width and not too long.
This is what it looks
patty
like.
ready. Let's put the
Oh,
second
let's
one
make
too.
another one.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's a little bit of extra left over with our proportions. We're making medium-sized patties, so you can make them a little smaller if you want, or bigger. And there we go. Before getting your patties on the fire, preheat your pan for 2 minutes and put some olive oil around the edge.
So now we have flipped them. You can see they're getting this golden brown color, which means they're almost ready. This is how you will recognize it, just leaving them in just a little bit more, but pretty much ready.
And here we are with our wonderful lentil burgers. Now you can put any condiments you want on them. We're gonna go with some onions and some of these mushrooms.
Ready, Nicholas?
Yes. Enjoy. Bon appétit.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Welcome back, and I hope you are ready for some more Project GreenPlate trivia. Let's get right into it. So, question 3. What percentage of water in the United States is used to produce and process meat? So here are the 4 questions. You have 7%, 22%, 43%, and 58%. Yes, the answer is 58%. Of that 0.5% that we talked about earlier, at least in the US, we are using 58% just to make meat. There are many reasons for this, but regardless of any of the reasons, that is way too much water. Maybe you can do something about it. I don't know. It's not like that's what we're trying to promote here. Okay, so question number 4. Approximately how much meat does the average American consume annually? So, here are your answers. 31 pounds, 53 pounds, 167 pounds, or 222 pounds. No, these are all odds. Probably something on the lower side, right? Well, I mean, maybe let's see. Wait, what's the answer? Oh, wait, what? So the answer is 222 pounds. That is insane and completely unprecedented throughout the entire rest of the world. Not only is this amount of food bad for the environment, but it is a leading cause of many illnesses in the US. We could cut down on that. Well, we can afford to eat a bit less meat. I mean, again, that's what we're here for, aren't we? Okay, so anyways, let's cut to the chase. That's it for now. 3 more questions in a few minutes.
One of the ways that we have welcomed younger people into our community is by leading workshops in elementary schools. This year, Project GreenPlate celebrated Earth Day with workshops hosted at Cambridgeport Elementary School. Project GreenPlate members led breakout rooms, games, and explorations of meat and water, and we even designed our own original Guess the Gallon tool and game so that people can play and try to guess the water consumption of their diet and see how far or how close their guesses were to the different types of meals. This is especially useful with younger students as many were memorizing numbers of their favorite meals, including one student exclaiming, "Oh my God, I'm going to be vegan now." Luckily for you all, you do not need to be vegan to save a lot of water. Different types of meals or habits can have a tremendous impact. For example, participating in Meatless Mondays once a month saves approximately 2,800 gallons or roughly 65 bathtubs on average per capita. And this can be easily achieved by taking a look at some of our local eateries with their delicious meatless menus. More on that from
Rhythm and Raps is basically like a family-owned business that my father founded about 9 years ago. And the menu is basically 100% vegan. But now it's just, yeah, feel free. Sit-in, delivery, pickup. If you just want to come in, get it and go. Just everything. We have everything. Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube actually now. So it's just at Rhythm and Raps.
I had moved to the Boston area from the New York area back in the late 1990s. Pretty quickly noticed and was surprised by the lack of vegetarian restaurants in the area. So thought there might be an opportunity to do something else, which was open a vegetarian restaurant.
As the person who does our social media and most of our outreach, I tried for years to get us on Guy Fieri's radar. So we were away for a very rare weekend away. We were on Martha's Vineyard, and suddenly out of the blue, Adam gets an email from one of Guy's people.
Yeah, it was quite an experience.
But he was great. He's a great guy, and he was interested, it turns out, in having a vegetarian restaurant on this program, and he has been having a few more.
Our address is 450, that's 450 Massachusetts Avenue, right in Central Square. You can find us online in multiple places. Our website is www.veggieGalaxy.com.
We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just all of our accounts are at Veggie Galaxy.
We've tried to kind of laser focus on the food, the taste, and that it's really not weird at all. Like we have most of our customers really, I think, are more flexitarian. You know, they probably eat meat, maybe have a couple nights a week where they you know, eat plant-based or something. And I think that, you know, that's really a win in my mind, because we have so many people that just regularly come back every week, and we're now a part of their weekly meal planning because we've showed that it's good food. You know, because something's vegan or plant-based doesn't mean that you're going to be sacrificing taste or anything. It's so that's what I hope to accomplish really with Taco Party specifically. And if you go to our website, tacopartytruck.com, you can then click on the online ordering link, and our whole menu is on there. You could get for pickup or delivery. We have an Instagram page, which is at Taco Party Truck, and Twitter is also at Taco Party Truck. I just want to say thank you to you guys for everything you're doing.
Hi, and welcome to the dessert segment of Meatless Demos. I'm going to be making a vegetarian and very healthy brownies that taste just like the real ones. So we're first going to start with a medium-sized bowl and add 1 cup of honey. Next, we'll go in and add 2 cups of peanut butter. This can also be substituted with almond butter or your favorite nut butter. Now I'm just going to stir it very well. And then go ahead and add 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and 1 cup of vegan chocolate chips. This is optional, but I like the texture that it gives to the brownies. And then ½ cup of cacao powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now we got all our ingredients in the bowl, and we're going to stir it well for a few minutes. Continue stirring until your mixture reaches this consistency. Now we're going to put the batter in a greased pan. I prefer to grease my pan with coconut oil. Spread the batter evenly on the pan and bake in oven for 28 minutes at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. After baking, it should look like this. Make sure that you allow it to cool down completely before cutting to prevent the brownies from crumbling. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe just as much as I did.
Welcome back, welcome back. I hope you are ready for one last bit of trivia. This time with a few comparisons between meat and synthetic meat. Alright, so question 5. How much water goes into making the average 1/3 pound hamburger? So here are your answers. 3 gallons, 95 gallons, 660 gallons, and 2,326 gallons. That last one seems a bit off, I have to say. I mean, that's like saying a bajillion, gajillion gallons. I mean, how much can it be? Hey, you thought this was a trick question. Hey, you thought it was going to be the last one because I just said that. No. It's not. It's actually the third one. It's still a lot. 660 gallons. So that's weird, but think about that. That's like if I filled this entire room that I'm in right now with just water, and that all went into making my lunch. So think about how big a 1 gallon milk jug is just in your refrigerator. Just imagine 660 of those. That's a lot. Question 6. Around how much water goes into making a 1/3 pound veggie burger? So here are your answers, almost the same as last time. 3 gallons, 95 gallons, 660 gallons, and 2,326 gallons. Well, no, it is not 3 gallons. I mean, come on, 3 gallons is barely enough for you to wash the grease from the meat patty off your hands, let alone make a burger. So the actual answer is approximately 95 gallons. 1/7 of the water needed to make a meat patty. And it tastes amazing anyways, so might as well, right? And here's the final question for you all. This one's important, this is the most important. So what was the most popular base ingredient in the video contest that we hosted earlier this year? So here are your options: beets, carrots, lettuce, and potatoes. Let's think about this. What would you have? What would you use? And, well, it's beets.
So it actually is born of kitchen on location in kind of sloppy franglais, because I'm a personal chef. And so I would travel and go to different places and cook. So it was that I was a traveling kitchen. It's a 16-year-old company. And so it's in the years, I like to work collaboratively. I really like to cook collaboratively and create collaboratively. So over the years, I've worked with a lot of different, very talented cooks and chefs. And the kind of things that we do with the ingredients have changed a lot as they've gone through different hands of different people. I grew up in the Northeast of America, and my parents are of European background, Eastern European. So my palate has a tendency, or my style has a tendency to lean European, right? So I have a tendency to finish with butter because, you know, those creamy buttery things that we throw into everything from like Hungary to France. But there have been people in my kitchen over the years whose palates might be very, very different, right? I have worked for years with a very creative chef whose family is from Canada. So he does these very traditional Canadian dishes that I had never even heard of, or there might be somebody who's from Louisiana, or, you know, there's all different kinds of palates that have rolled through the kitchen, but the rules are always the same. The rules are that the ingredients are sourced from farmers within 100 miles is what we call local. Although there are systems that I feel okay about that move food slightly further. But no matter what we were making, right? We may have been making Korean food, but those bean sprouts were going to be from local beans. The, you know, the ingredients, like we didn't have rice because you can't grow rice here. Trust me. I know people who have tried. My very European style, my instinct is to always have protein in an entree dish, and then to have side dishes that don't necessarily have to have protein, but there's some combination of something carbohydrate-y, something kind of starchy, something green. Like that's a very European way of thinking about how to construct a meal. So vegan is really, I find vegan really difficult because I'm not a huge proponent of processed foods. And a lot of the meat substitute things, the vegan meat substitutes, are highly processed. So, and also frequently high in fillers and gluten and things like that. So I'm a big fan of the grain and bean combination for a complete protein. And so I frequently turn to that. And I also, for vegetarians, I might lean towards beans and grains definitely, but also cheese or eggs. because I'm always sort of thinking about, well, where is protein coming from in this dish? And there's protein in all kinds of places that you may or may not know. Like mushrooms have some protein in them, you know, so there's ways. So when I think about like a meatless meal, I'm going to ask, the first thing I'm going to ask is, where's the protein coming from? And how do we replace it? And then most of what I cook, honestly, I cook almost always vegetarian or vegan, and then I'll add meat to it if that's what they want. But most of the food that I do, my dishes are mostly vegetarian.
I think that wraps it up. Now we can move on to our next segment. So see you in a bit.
I will now give the floor to Nicholas, who will introduce you to one of our most successful projects that we had earlier in the year.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you Project GreenPlate's first annual video contest. Last November, we had an idea to get our community involved in meatless cooking. We launched a video contest. This video contest was quite simple. All we asked is for a video of someone cooking a meatless item, and oh boy did we receive meatless items. We received an incredibly diverse and wide-ranging number of submissions, from meatless substitutes to salads, from beet sandwiches to snacks, from desserts to salad dressings. We could have made an entire buffet. No two recipes resembled each other, and cultural diversity ran high throughout the different meals. We saw that meat could be reduced in countless different manners. All in all, we found that each participant perfectly embodied the spirit of Project GreenPlate. Simple and creative meatless meals. After a rigorous judging process and a couple of spreadsheets, we successfully announced our top 3 winners and honorable mentionees. Winners were awarded our brand new Project GreenPlate hoodies, and we'll give it up to them to speak to you a bit about the contest.
Hi guys, so we think that meatless meals are great, and it's like an awesome way to reduce your carbon footprint, and also just like even if you can't have like all of your meals be meatless, if you can do them like a significant amount of the time, it can make a really big impact.
And our favorite part of making our project was spending time together and decorating our smoothie bowls with granola.
And fruit, I think.
And fruit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
I got to make a very tasty dessert. I also was saving water at the same time. This content also inspired me to start off my cooking channel on YouTube, where I share, for the most part, healthy and sometimes vegetarian recipes.
Well, that was wonderful. I would now like to introduce to you the person that inspired this entire process. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss Sonnenschein.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. It was a pleasure having you here.
I couldn't agree with you more, Luna. Although our event is almost done, our project and mission is just starting. If you wish to join us and work together, feel free to reach out to us on any of the social media platforms that are on the screen right now.
Moreover, we encourage you to check out our YouTube channel and website linked here so that you can stay updated on the project and know what to expect next.
We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.